do it, just make sure that the camera's not on.
Okay.
So just look at that. And just relax. Don't worry, don't stress. Just relax. And then Leo will probably be popping in. She's going to do some social media video on other sites. And then mine is just sitting there.
And then anything there is kind of fun to get to because I'm not social media savvy.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll help you with it.
When I was like, you should see.
Talk with my hands too. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. It's
And it's fine that you're reading from a script. Like that's
it's
fine.
not fine that I'm reading from script. I'm going to hide it.
Oh, impressive. I'll learn tricks.
So,
Do we have the same leggings on? Do we have the same leggings on?
We have the same leggings
right.
on. Yours are gray, mine are black.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have them in navy also, but they don't have them on our website. We're live?
Audio is live.
Okay.
Turn on.
Do you want like a testing? Is my mic good?
Can you hear us both?
Audio on.
Great. So we're live over here too. Hi, TikTok.
Hi.
Hi everybody, got it all over.
So,
Hi.
hi. Hi, Instagram. Hi, Facebook. I'm Laura Baker. We're coming up in just less than a minute.
Let's crash it.
So you're going to crash it?
There you go. Hold on. I can bring this out right anytime.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Sure.
Let's do it.
And three.
You're going to start the conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Laura Baker with Living Well with Tommie Copper, and we are really excited to start this show with you. You've been seeing a little bit of what we did last week with our CEO, Saul Jacobs. That was a lot of fun. We launched a huge commercial, but everything that we're going to be bringing you on a weekly basis is all about wellness in general. We know as we age, those aches and pains get worse. That's just, there's no other way to put it, right? You wake up and every morning you wake up, you're like, oh, wait, why does my neck hurt? Why does my back hurt? Why does my knee hurt? And it's part of the process. But what's wonderful is that it doesn't have to be something that you live with on a daily basis, because there are so many things out there, both in the marketplace and exercises and things you can eat and do to help you feel better and live your best life every day. And so that's what this show is all going to be about. It's about whole wellness. And I'm excited to introduce to you one of my favorite people. Chris Cantrell is with the Pilates Powerhouse and Rehab Center in St. Petersburg, Florida. I have been coming to your studio for a year. We'll get into that in just a little while, but thank you, Chris, for coming.
My pleasure. This is super fun and exciting, and all the things you just said, I think I'm there with you.
Yes.
In age, in body, in mind. I think it's all different as we age, and I think that you're totally right that we don't have to just give to it. We can work with it and not let it defeat us on those days when it wants to. So I'm in it with you, girl. So
yeah, we're all there together, and
Fun.
I think that a lot of us women, as we approach 40s and 50s, it's a different perimenopause and menopause. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes too. But,
I feel like that's a dirty word.
I know. It sounds like, well, and what's so crazy is that our parents' generation, they didn't talk about it, but our generation is very much talking about it, which I think is helping, and that's one of the things we're going to target too. But let's first start with your center, because it's so crucial and so different. I've done a lot of Pilates through the years at different places, right? And when I've done it, it hasn't always been rehab Pilates. And so you actually have the word rehab in your name. And what I've noticed is what's different, especially with you, but also every instructor that you have, you focus on proper form.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a critical portion in order to not just feeling better, but not injuring yourself down the road too.
Yeah, 100%. The rehab aspect, let me be clear and delineate, we are not physical therapists, right?
Yeah.
But the method of Pilates that we are trained in is a physical therapy-based approach What that means is exactly what you just said. How do I do this exercise? A, for my body, because as we know, many Pilates exercises, you look at them and go, there's no way, right? It needs to be designed individually, customized for each person. So you, as you've seen in our classes, there might be 6 people in the class, but everybody's doing a slightly different version based on what they need, whether it's the weight bearing part of it or the form part of it or the kneeling or sitting part of it. You know, I think as when we're young, right? Like I've done every exercise form you can think of, a fad, things that stick around. I love exercise, but I get bored easily. So I need to feel like I have a lot of variety. There are so many body parts to cover. And a lot of things that we do in the gym are very global muscle-like, right? You know, we focus on back and biceps and quads, but there's a lot of intricate stuff that goes on in the pelvis, in the shoulder girdle, in the abdominal wall. People think abs. It's like, actually, there's a lot of different abs, right? And they go in different directions. And if you're not doing something correctly, but you're doing it repeatedly, that's how you injure yourself, right? If we talk, for example, about this compression stuff that we're wearing, I work on my feet all day long. I love my job. I've always, my entire life, had a really physical job. I wear compression socks at this point in my life because my legs don't hurt when I'm done working. My feet don't hurt when I'm done for the day. So I've heard of wearing them when you travel on an airplane, right? Because of the elevation and the change in the pressure. But really, they're just, I always think of it like a wrap, right? Like when you injure a joint, an ankle or an elbow or a wrist, they wrap it, right? The reason they do that is joint stability so that it can heal properly and not be flapping around. So I kind of feel that way about my legs. Like between the leggings and the socks, it's like I can be on my feet for 10 hours and my feet don't hurt when I get home. And I'm like, all right, because been there, done that. I don't like that, okay?
We've all been there. I know. I actually learned about a compression because I was traveling on an airplane.
Right?
I was on an 18-hour flight and boom, man, my legs swell. And I came back home and I went to the doctor and did all sorts of testing. The cardiologist looked at me, he's like, you're healthy. You just need to wear compression on airplanes. And I went, aren't I too young to be wearing compressions? And I was in my 30s at that point. And he said, nobody's too young. Everybody benefits from compression. And so, you know, we always think about it, like you said, it's older people, it's traveling, or it's really big athletes.
Well, it's women too.
But women,
our veins are different. Our hormones are different. So as we age, like, you know, we can be healthy and eat well, and that's all super important. But the reality is there's no way around it. We age and stuff happens. And I think that as people, women, men, whatever, especially when we have to have grace about it and realize that, like, just because maybe your knee at, you know, like for me, I went on this big hiking trip. It was the best. It was super crazy hard. But by the time I was done, I was certain I was going to have knee surgery. Like that was weird. So it's okay. Like I'm 49 years old. Like I just want to do everything I can do to keep myself as well, as strong and stable and injury-free as I can be as I age so that I can continue doing the things I want to do. I have no misconceptions that I'm never going to hurt myself or everything's going to do great till I pass and leave this world. But it's about, like we talked about, the form, the alignment, right? If you're not doing things correctly from the beginning and you keep doing that same thing, that's how joint injuries occur. That's how knees go bad. That's how hips, you know what I mean? There's a lot of body parts to cover. And the thing about Pilates that's amazing is you're covering them all. It's multiple planes of movement and weird movements, as you know, that you're like, what are we doing right now? And why are we doing this, right? And I think that's what makes a huge difference for us.
How does Pilates help the body? Because, I mean, I've noticed it. It's one of the things that I reach for. I was in a really bad car accident in my 20s, which I don't think you and I have ever even talked about.
No, I don't think so.
So I have lived with that ever since then. I've lived with that for 24 years now, this Thanksgiving. And I've done everything. And the only thing I notice a difference in is when I am consistent with Pilates, I have less pain.
In your back specifically, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's when I have the least amount of pain is when I'm consistent. If I break away from it, I start to do something else, the pain starts to creep back in. So you treat a lot of people with a lot of different injuries. How is it that Pilates makes a difference?
So I'll come at it first from the injury-specific aspect, right? When you have an injury, whether it's an accident, an overuse injury, basically what that means is that you no longer have that perfectly formed, whether it's a disc or knee or whatever, the body is going to come out of alignment in some way or another where the muscles, the joint stability isn't quite there. But what Pilates does is it's kind of teaching everything around the injury to do its best to stabilize, if that makes sense. When you stop, you kind of fall back into your bad patterns, right? And again, it could be due to an actual injury. It could be a postural fault, which most of us have, right? Everything in the world is this way now. A lot of people who runners, it's like their gait is usually not perfect, so they end up with a knee injury or hip injury. I think the thing about Pilates is that there's so many deeper muscles that like you have to hit them, I always say, in really funky certain ways. And in real life, we don't hit them in those ways. So I might make you do something really weird in a sideways position because we're targeting muscles that if you don't, like your core, for example, right? I know Pilates is big about the core. We talk about that a lot, but the core is actually not just your abdominals. It's your back that coordinates with those muscles. It's your hips that coordinate. So to me, it's almost like a triangle of muscles. And if you're not strengthening them all, you're going to create another imbalance, because if I only strengthen my abs in that rounded C-curve position, right, I'm going to hurt my neck, I'm going to hurt my back. So really understanding that it's about balance. It doesn't have to be all power, super hard to be effective. I think that's a misconception as well, especially as we get older, us women. Like, I don't want to work out as hard as I did when I was 25. I just don't, and I'm okay with that.
Well, speaking of older, World Menopause Day is Saturday, convenient.
Oh, how convenient.
I know. And it's one of those things that, you and I were talking about it back in the green room when we were getting ready. My girlfriends and I are all having these conversations, and it's just, it's so difficult to explain and to talk about. But, when a lot of your clientele are in that age range, right? That
and a lot of them passed it.
And a lot of them passed it. So what are some of the body issues that you see when they're coming in as far as trying to prevent injuries,
live with
or
that
stay in
kind of
shape,
thing?
or
Yeah.
live with it? How are you targeting it?
Well, I think most importantly, have grace. Every day is different. I might wake up one day and feel awesome and myself, and the next day I might feel like, who am I? And this is a shell. And again, it kind of comes back to what kind of workout do you want? And Pilates offers so much variety. You can work on really basic stuff just to move, maybe doing just different movements of the spine that day to feel like you're not all locked up. And or you could say, I'm ready to hit it today, and let's make it powerful and faster and more intense. And that's beautiful. And the machine itself offers so much variety. But I really just think every day is different. And I think that I personally, if I don't want to work out that day because I'm not feeling it, I'm okay with that. Yeah. And everybody's different. And some people really need that regimented, I need to do something every day. You do that if that's what works for you. But also if it's not, if you're like, I'm not feeling it today, that's okay too. I think that the most common thing that these women say that come in, half the time they're forcing themselves to get there for that reason. Like, I feel fatigued today and I'm just kind of blah today and I'm not in the mood, but I made myself. And showing up for most people is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Right? And once you get there and I put you through your workout, you're going to leave going, I am so glad I did that. Yes. I mean, I myself, half the time, I teach virtual classes, and half the time I'm like, I got to teach this dumb class. And then when I'm done, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. I feel awesome. But it's mental, right? Yeah. I think menopause is mental. Of course it's physical, but it is way more mental if you ask me. Talking yourself into stuff when you don't feel like it is hard.
Yeah. I mean, and what you were saying, I'm one of those, I'm a client of yours, and I have been many times I've been like, I don't feel like going to class today. And then I get to class, and it takes me about 20 to 25 minutes sometimes to be like, I'm glad I'm here. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, I'm really glad I'm here, and I'm glad I went. And your body feels better. When your body feels better, your brain feels better.
100%.
It's all connected. Mm-hmm. And exercise for sure helps your brain just adjust and be happier. It's just that release of endorphins that's amazing. And you hear about it, but until you experience it and then you really commit to it, really, I think, is what makes the difference. But it doesn't have to be super strenuous exercise.
And I think that
a few things at home.
If you're somebody who is going through this lovely phase, right? Maybe what you were doing 2 years ago is no longer what you feel like doing. And I feel like if you get to that place mentally of, man, I'm like forcing myself and I don't love this anymore, then switch it up, right? If you are a runner, maybe you go into, riding a Peloton, whatever works. That's another thing about Pilates that I feel like is great, at least at my studio. I know there's different methods, but we're really about variety and keep, the energy. Find some place to go that makes you feel like we're talking about. Yeah. If you're feeling like what you're doing is stale, that's okay. Do something different. But do something if that's what makes you feel better. And again, I think that's sometimes the hardest part. So me personally for Pilates, I've been teaching for 25 plus years, which is bizarre. You never know everything. You're always learning more. I'm amazed by that. I just think the feeling of that depth and that like, okay, I'm not just working out, I'm working out in a really mindful, body connected. If my shoulder, my arm is an issue sometimes, I feel better. I'm like, all right, I know why I'm doing this. I'm kind of vain. I'm not going to lie. Like I care about what I look like. So there's a lot of reasons why I think it's good for us, right? And I think when you're going through the menopause thing, I will sometimes look in the mirror and be like, I don't know who you are, and you don't look like yourself, and I don't know, it's just strange,
yes.
right?
I mean, we could talk about that for hours, but there's actually, you brought up something that I want to mention. You mentioned your elbow, and it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We're double banging it out. Okay, all right, we're doing this.
So,
all right.
We're doing that too. So, I don't want to go too far into your story. I know that was a tough road, and I thank you for being here and sharing it with us. But one of the things that I want to talk about is we actually have a bra that is a compression bra. It is an upper shoulder support bra. You've been wearing it. I've worn it. And the day you were wearing it, you came up to me in the studio and you went, Laura, I have lived with this elbow pain all the time. And you took off your shirt.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to share. Okay.
No, it was so great because it really made me I always have understood the benefits of Tommie Copper and compression, and I have always tried to share this story. But when people come back to me like, we love it, it made such a difference. My elbow no longer hurts, and it hurts every day. It warms my heart to know that it's changing people's lives, and you personally can talk about that.
For many reasons. I think to explain why compression is so helpful and actually works and beneficial is, again, like we were talking about, right? So my elbow joint is painful. I have a little bit of tendonitis, but the reality is that comes from instability in my shoulder. Quite a few years ago now, I had breast cancer, double mastectomy, all that good stuff, and I am well and wonderful and really have great range of motion and can use my body in a great way, but I have scar tissue and I have damage, and that'll never go away. And what happens is I get reactive stuff from that I, as much as I work out and do great stuff, it hurts sometimes, right? And I said to you, I don't know if it's psychosomatic. Like, I'm kind of freaked out because I was wearing the compression bra. My arm that day, I was kind of going like this, throwing my elbow, going, wait, it doesn't hurt. Like, it's supposed to hurt when I do that. And I'm wearing it again today. I have the different variety on, and it's kind of the same thing. It has a sense of, it brings the thoracic spine, the chest a little bit up, the shoulders a little bit back. It's very tight, which I like because I'm working all day. And I just think it's whatever it is putting this shoulder just in the right place where, okay, this elbow can relax and heal. And again, I'm like throwing my elbow, going, no, it doesn't hurt. Cool. So compression is that. It's a stabilizer. It doesn't have to be like we were saying on the way in here. Like, I want it to be cute. Like, I'm wearing a cute zip-up sports bra, and I care about what I look like at work. I think fashion is part of the deal, and I want to feel like when I wear compression stuff, it's not old lady-ish or whatever the word is, right? Kind of a medical look. That's a great way to put it.
We don't want that medical look. We want it to look good.
Yeah.
We want it to feel good, especially when you're talking about a bra. You still want it to be attractive.
Right. And I have a hard time finding bras because of this, and I don't really need a ton of support in my breasts themselves. I need more of that shoulder girdle support because I'm kind of broad shouldered. I tend to flex forward. So just wearing this kind of brings me a little bit here where I don't have to work so hard for it, if that makes sense.
Well, you don't have to think about it. And that's one of the things that I've always been I notice when I wear it, we tend to hunch forward, right? Especially in today's day and age, we're hunching over cell phones and computers and doing all of that stuff. Well, when you put the bra on, it automatically aligns your body.
I feel that.
You can feel it. You can feel the difference when you align that body. So it pulls the shoulders back, but when it gives you that alignment, you also breathe better. And breathing is a huge part of stress relief, a huge part of Pilates. I mean, obviously you can't live without breathing, but you actually need to be able to breathe deeply in order to really release the stress in your body also.
I feel that. I feel what you're saying. And you're totally right. That's a big part of Pilates as well, because that deep, mindful breathing is, good for so many things. And I actually think that the compression in a way brings awareness to that. Like you're saying, like, okay, I'm kind of feeling that breath pattern, and maybe I need to take a deeper breath when I'm exercising. So it almost is feedback, which I think is cool too. So yeah, I love it all, actually.
I think coming up, we'll do a whole series on breath work because I'm completely into like the box.
No, people will fall asleep. They will fall asleep. Okay, like move on, please. Okay.
You were so funny.
It's boring.
Maybe not. I love it.
10 minutes, you'll be like, we're done. Move on. Let's do something else. I'm so bored. I get it. I get what you're saying. Okay.
It's so good for you, and it's so stress
Yeah.
relieving. All right, so let's talk about the compression. We actually have a question, I think, from somebody wrote in and on Facebook, and they asked, how does compression wearing products help support different, we were just kind of talking about this.
Yeah.
How does it help support different areas of the body?
Well, so we have leggings, we have the compression socks that you guys offer, the shirt jacket I'm wearing. I like the compression of the shirt around the rib cage. It's tight. It took me a second. I was like, oh, this is really tight. But again, I have this awareness of my posture.
Yeah.
And if we're talking in a general way of my whole outfit, for example, again, I'm kind of aware of where I am in space, which is really important. That takes some practice, right? To know when I'm hunching versus, nope, I'm not, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if we're talking body part specific, if it's a knee or it's an elbow or it's the back brace kind of thing, it's stability. And what that means is when you have a joint that hurts, it's because that joint is probably hypermobile or has sustained an injury, and the compression of whatever you're wearing gives that almost like a hug. So it's not flopping around anymore. It can kind of heal. It can do its thing. It's just a really great tool to help the healing process for sure. And I have some clients who will come in and wear their knee brace when they're working out. And I'm like, that's great, because their knee tends to go what we call hypermobile, extends too much. Mm-hmm. So what the brace does is it wraps it and hugs it so that they avoid that hyperextension. And eventually, without doing that repetitively, it'll heal. Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about the body, right? So it's really just a tool to make sure you don't just keep recurring the same injury, right? Mm-hmm.
Well, and you were talking about compression. You talked about how it's tight. Compression is and hugs at your body.
By definition, right?
By definition. I mean, that's really the whole point of it, right? Is because it actually helps with circulation. And when you're wearing the compression socks, what happens is our blood tends to get stuck in our feet, and it starts to pool down there. That's why you start to see your feet, swelling, and your ankles, and your legs swelling and get so heavy, right? Well, with the compression, it helps that go back up through its blood vessels into the heart and get pumped where it's supposed to be, which then helps you feel better and also helps you feel more energized at the end of the day too. So it really is a whole thing. And we have compression everywhere, from the socks, the leggings that I wear. I have never, ever been in your gym. I don't wear any leggings that aren't compression by you guys, by us, by Tommie Copper. And so, but I've seen that, and it makes such a big difference doing it that way too. So I love that compression can help in so many different areas of the body. We're talking about the knee area. What is one area, when we talk about women specifically, that you find gets more, maybe they have more injuries in that part of their body than maybe men do?
Oh gosh.
Were you a curveball there? Sorry.
No, not at all. So, I don't know if it's so much as an injury as the most common thread, especially women our age and older. There is no way around it, peoples. You are going to change in the midsection of your body as a female, right? And if you do not work on back strength, abdominal strength, hip strength, gluteal strength, that's how most women get. I would probably say like low back is probably the most common denominator for women as we get older, because again, as your belly changes, your muscles change, you're in that kind of blah, everything's changing. If you don't keep that emphasis going on your core, that's how we incur back issues. A lot of our life is sitting these days. Sitting is the worst thing you can do for your back, unfortunately, but we do it all the time. I feel like that, and maybe a lot of women's necks. I'm not really sure if it's just because women are a little bit more because of the posture of the shoulders, right? We tend to kind of look down and frump a little more. Men tend to be a little bit more upright and broad through the chest. But I would probably say right away it would be the lumbar spine, the low back area, and that keeping our core strong as we're aging, because it feels like it's going like this, right? It doesn't have to literally, it can just feel like it. Just keep everything strong as best you can.
There's actually a study, 80% of Americans deal with back pain in their life, 80%.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody at home dealing with back pain, or maybe it's a different kind of pain that you have there at home, I want to hear from you. So type in the chat right now. No matter where it is, just send us a little question. If there's something you want to know about, I can try to help answer with Tommie Copper's side. And of course, Chris can come and try to answer from the Pilates and rehab side there as well. The Pilates Powerhouse and Rehab Center is the name of her center. And she is an amazing instructor. So if you're just tuning in, I kind of want to rehash where we are and what we're doing. So this is Living Well by Tommie with Tommie Copper, and I'm Laura Baker. I'm your host. This is going to be a series we're going to be doing now on a weekly basis. We're going to be targeting all sorts of different wellness areas, and we just really want to help make people feel better and live less in pain and be happier and spend more time with your family and your loved ones and your friends and enjoying the life that you're supposed to be enjoying, which becomes harder as we age, right? So Chris has been a big part of that for me. She may not even really know it until now we're sitting here together, but I came to Chris's rehab center in a challenging time in my life. I was approaching 50 at the time, and life was hard. And Chris, I just started showing up, and I showed up more, and I showed up more, and you helped put a smile back on my face. And
You're gonna make us cry, aren't you?
So
I would like to say that I think that's so. I'm so. That is my favorite part of my job. Is it's physical, it's demanding, but it's also so lovely, and you meet the loveliest people. And many people like to come to the group for the camaraderie of it. And I think that, like we said before, you've got to find somewhere that really uplifts you and makes it fun and makes you want to go there. Their energy, their vibe, the people that work there. Are you getting what your body needs? I also think it's really important to say that one thing is just not enough, right?
Exactly.
I think that if you go to the chiropractor, that's awesome, but that's not going to make you to go away.
it comes back,
If you're going to the chiro, you need to go exercise in between. Or I love compression gear, but if I don't work out as well, I'm just putting a Band-Aid on a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that doing different modalities that really ice is great. Ice is important. Heat works better for some people, right? Like, if we can, as especially women, like, it's not going to be a fix-all what we want it to be, because we feel like sometimes it's hard, right? Mm-hmm. But if you realize that you're going to have to do different things on different days, and like what made you feel good yesterday might change a little today, and try different modalities. Don't be afraid to try things. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but if you don't try it, you won't know.
So you were talking about the neck, and you were talking about trying different modalities. So let's give some examples of maybe some neck exercises that people can do at home. Can they do
I would love that.
Like this?
Yes. There's a million things you can do seated, okay. But however, I will say that we sit all day long. So my advice to my clients is get down. You should always be able to get down on the floor, right? Until you leave this beautiful place, you should always be able to get down on the floor, because God forbid, I work on this a lot with my clients. They hate that I make them do it, but if you fall, you better be able to get up, right? Okay. And as much as you hate that I'm making you get up and down, you're getting up and down, right? But I always say, do different things. You want to get down on the mat and do some stuff?
They just said we could get back on the mat and then come back to seats if we need to.
I love it. All right.
So that was all right.
So
okay.
Let's take you to a place where you're just lying on your back.
Okay.
In a knees bent, feet flat position. Okay.
Put it to the side.
And then what we brought today was just a couple of these small weighted balls. You can get these anywhere, 1, 2, 3 pounds. I tell most people you don't need more than 2 or 3 pounds, really. Okay. If you're trying to focus on joint stability, right? Like if you're wearing an elbow or a knee brace and you're trying to push heavy weight, you need to back out, right? You need to strengthen that joint first before you start adding power to it. So these 1, 2, 3 pound weights are great because you can get a little bit of weight bearing without it being too much, right? Women in particular, it's really important that we do weight bear, especially as menopause happens, because things change. And unfortunately, that bone density stuff changes rapidly.
It does change fast.
It's weird.
You really should be lifting weights while you're getting into this age range.
On the reformer, I think this is a misconception as well. People think on the reformer you're not weight bearing. That's not true. You're just not weight bearing in a traditional way. Mm-hmm. You are oftentimes pushing your own body weight plus, right? Which is a lot, depending on how you are, right? You're pushing spring tension, which works with the body and the joints instead of, I got to push this weight off my chest kind of thing. Not to say that stuff's not important as well, but the reformer absolutely is weight bearing, muscle, bone density, good stuff, right? Okay. If we're talking specifically right now about necks, right? It's very important, number one, most of us have pillows that we lay our head on at night when we lay back, and what that does is it presses the head almost like forward, right? Ideal positioning, if you're laying on your back, should be, and ideal, right, may not be there, is to have your head with no pillow and your neck feels fairly comfortable.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. Now, if that's not the case, right, and say you're at home and you're laying on your back, you could simply lift your head for me, Laura. You can roll your mat a couple times and just give your neck a little bit of support, right? Couple times,
Oh,
right?
You remind me of something. So you know what, I was in physical therapy for my neck and my back. and they gave me a pool noodle,
Mhm.
and they chopped it up to about, maybe a foot. So, and I have it next to my bed. I'm not very good at using it.
That's exactly what you were saying before about everything is looking down. What that
Yes.
purpose is to create what we call extension or arching in your neck, because when you are always looking down, you lose that. It messes with your discs. You create pain there. So to create that extension, the support, like we're talking about with all this compression stuff, the support of that noodle will create some natural extension without you having to try too hard, right?
Okay.
So always try to make your neck comfortable, but you don't want to just give in to, okay, I need a big pillow to push my head forward. Try to work against that. You're trying to retrain stuff, right?
Yep.
If we're focused on, for me, for example, for breast cancer, or just postural stuff with ladies, how we tend to flex forward. The idea is we want to open up the chest. We want to work not just by working the chest muscles, but more importantly, by working those mid-upper back muscles. The reason that the compression bras work so good for us is because it's taking these extensor muscles and it's making me go like this. Right? So those are the muscles, and every man or woman, I can't tell you how many people come in and they're like this. And making them try to pull their chest open, shoulder blades back is really hard. They don't have that muscle strength, right? So stuff like this, we'll start without the weights and then I'll give them to you and you can say the difference, okay? So just simple things. We call these arm circles, right? You're just going to reach the arms back by the ears and then sweep them around, kind of beach angel or snow angel style, right? Trying to keep the elbow joint fairly straight, the wrist fairly straight. I like to spread the fingers out, right? Everything matters. And really kind of pushing like you're almost in the water or pushing through mud.
So move the hands around?
Yep, you can, but I'd like you to go back in line with your ears more. We want to hit those upper back muscles. Notice the difference, right?
Okay.
Now, if you're doing these and you go and you kind of break the elbow and bend, you're losing that connection. So if you can't go as far with the straight arm, you go as far as you can and work it around, right? The idea is we're trying to strengthen, not give into what feels normal and feels fine, right? So now do it with the hand weights. And these are just 2 pounds, which I think are plenty. You still have to be able to keep that elbow and wrist stability. But now you're getting a little bit more work, right?
Yep, I can feel it. It feels like I'm stretching my shoulders. Right
Correct.
now. I also feel a little crunchiness in my shoulders, which is
Not abnormal.
usual.
I don't know a person yet who doesn't have a crunch somewhere, okay? So now do a set of what we call scissor arms. So now there's a little bit of that contralateral movement. This actually activates more of the core. Because as one goes one way, one goes the other, we have to sort of work on those core muscles so the whole body doesn't tip side to side when you're working.
Okay.
Good. And then again, if we're getting really into it, incorporate your breathing. Exhale as you do the hard part. Inhale, come to the middle. So there's that conscious, mindful movement. Probably one of the things people love the most about Pilates is you can't really think about anything else. You have to think about your body, right? You have to pay attention or you're doing it wrong.
Well, you're so focused because there's so many different things to focus
Yes.
on, which is also really good for the brain. To have
My brain for sure. Okay. Now do some open and close, right? So just right over the chest, making sure that your arms kind of line up more over your chest. We don't want to shrug into the neck, right? We want to work more of the pectorals, the biceps, and those middle of the back muscles. Open. So really super simple stuff. Again, that's the beauty of it. I teach virtual classes, and some days we kill it, and some days we don't. And it's just a matter of, do we want to stretch more today, or do we want to strengthen more today? And sometimes we do a little bit of both.
Well, and what's really nice is that these are things that people can do at home.
100%.
So I know that you have an online Pilates class that people can join in from home. But also these are exercises, like say they don't have the balls, they can go get 2 cans of beans.
Water bottles, 16-ounce water bottles are great. I did a lot of stuff during COVID that we had to do for virtual. We had to get really creative. All right, so let's do some lower body stuff, right? Just take the weights off to the side for now. We're going to focus a little bit more on what we talked about with the low back, the abdominals, right? Basic bridges, again, you're going to say, oh, I did this in PT. That's very normal, right? What I want you to do is keep your feet to where your heels line up under your bum, right? Not too close together, that's important.
Okay.
And not directly under the knee. If you look at her leg, she's got kind of a triangle pattern, right? You're just going to inhale to prepare, and when you exhale, just begin to lift the pelvis. And most people are shocked by how hard that is to do, right?
Yeah.
And just guide it back down slow. So you've got all sorts of muscles that fire here, right? Most importantly, you've got those low back muscles. I can't tell you how many people, men and women, who, if they've had any kind of back injury or pain, are very nervous about activating their back muscles.
I was super scared.
Right? Because in your mind, you associate that with pain.
It has always been really painful, and all those 25 years before I found you, I would always skip it in the class. Because when I would try to do it, it would injure it more and inflame it more, and that would become a bigger problem. it wasn't until I found you that you said, no, you've got to lift here first,
Mhm.
and you've got to do it one vertebrae at a time. And then when you come back down, you're doing it one vertebrae at a time.
Just form and alignment, like we were talking
Nobody
about.
ever teaches the form. So that's why I want you. So let's teach people the form now.
Oh, I would love that.
You still teach me every day.
Okay.
Okay, Laura.
I would love that. All right. So like I said, first and foremost, if your feet and knees aren't in the right place when you start the exercise, you're already doing it incorrectly, right? Now, again, I said before, have some grace with yourself. However, there needs to be an effort to make sure you're doing it right. And even in my virtual classes, people have been taking them for 6-7 years. I'm still going, make sure your feet are in the right, because you're just trying to do the movement, right? So you want to think about your toes pointing straight ahead, your heels lining up under the butt bone here, right? And then this triangle shape of the kneecap. And then your knees need to be pointing at the sky. Most people tend to drop them out or rotate them inwards, right? So if you need to, you could roll up a towel, put it in here, whatever you need to keep that connection, right? Once you get the alignment correct, whatever happens with your bridge now is going to be beneficial, right? So you would take a nice deep breath in. When you begin your exhale, there's a sense of tweezing the glutes, kind of squeezing the booty. I always say like you're holding a quarter and you don't want to drop it, right? And then you lift sort of sequentially. Notice that she didn't pop the pelvis up. The rib cage should be down, kind of compressing, and then feel this lengthening, right? And so show me ribs popped up. Arch, arch, arch. See the pop, you see the flare, you can see it. That means she's overarching her back. She's going to create tension in the neck, right? And then, so now this is abdominals and back muscles working together, and then just slowly bring it down. I think that's the thing people do wrong a lot too, is they pop and drop. You hear me say that all the time in class, like no pop and drop here, right? It should feel like your whole exhale should be to get there. You'll inhale to hold the position, that's work, and then exhale, just come on down slow, like work with what you got,
and
right?
I found it's always so interesting as you guys talk about how it's not just the pushing away that's the exercise, it's also the return.
The contracting of return, yes, 100%.
And I know that we tend to go through things really, really fast because we want to get it over with, right? But it's just, we don't have to necessarily do that. So I often wear I always wear my rubber socks and leggings and tops. I have a tank top on right now. I don't usually wear the jacket unless it's winter. Sometimes I do. But can we talk about the benefits of me wearing compression while I'm doing this, or other things in the class as well?
So there's two ways to approach compression, right? It is reactive in the way that I have an injury or pain and I'm trying to, bring that down, right? Reduce the inflammation, increase the oxygen flow, the circulation, all that stuff, right? That would be reactive. I didn't need it before, now I need it, right? Proactive, like you and I, are like, hey, I want to wear it because I want to avoid getting to that place. For me, for example, right elbow reactive, right? Leggings is kind of proactive. Like I'm doing it because I know that if I don't, I may end up with stuff later. So I think up to this point, it's been medically reactive. But I think I think street to studio stuff is great fashion-wise. And if it can be a look that's fun and fashionable and being proactive, you might avoid an elbow injury or pain of tendonitis because you were already wearing the bra and it's not an issue anymore.
Well, what I love about Tommie Copper is it's one of those things that it is, you talk about it being, it's proactive and reactive, right? And so it really does help to reduce the recovery time of your muscles. So if you are injured, you actually, and we have studies that prove this, you actually feel better faster by wearing the compression.
100%. Makes sense.
It helps your body recover faster, right? But it's also very much preventative. And so for me, I love these leggings. They actually are a hip and knee support legging, and I have a knee injury. And so with this, it helps support my knee. We obviously have knee sleeves and stuff like that available from Tommie Copper too, which I also own, which I wear in different ways, but because I have it supporting my knee here, I don't necessarily need to wear one in addition when I have the leggings on. I just love the different feels of compression. Like for me, I did something to my neck. I think I was sleeping on my pillow wrong because you just mentioned pillows. And
pillows are the worst because they're so hard to find the right one.
Certain, I've been, as we talk about menopause and perimenopause, you don't sleep at night for anybody who's going through it. And so
let's just say I wouldn't be here if I didn't sleep well last night. Okay?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And so when you have that challenge, you toss and turn. And I think I was tossing and turning a little bit too much this week, and I pulled a muscle in my neck. Well, then the night before last, I slept in my we have tops that are upper shoulder, and we have tops that are lower shoulder.
Oh, you slept in it.
And I slept in
smart.
it. So I slept in the shoulder support top, and I woke up feeling so much better. Like I could feel, it wasn't gone, but it felt significantly reduced. And so
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
know,
it too. It's not going to,
yeah.
like, you're not going to wait, oh, it's gone. No, it's a healing process.
Exactly.
It's support and stability for an injury or an issue. It's not going to magically make it go away, but it's certainly going to help with the process. I have that Tommie Copper neck wrap, right? That's for, it can be for headaches, which is really funny to look at because you kind of got your eyes covered and stuff, but you can also put it around your neck. Like a scarf, and it hugs. And again, it kind of keeps like, all right, if I want to lay down or I want to just sit, I don't feel like I have to hold my head up. It kind of wraps for me, which is, I'm a headache person, so neck tension person. So I think that's fantastic. If you are open to it, let's do some more stuff talking about the neck and spine. Go onto your hands and knees. So I said earlier, you know, I try to do things that we sit all the time. Let's do other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody, and most of the time I laugh because I'm like, you're doing it anyway, even if you don't love it, right? What's another thing about women that we always complain about? Our wrists, right? Well, we got to strengthen them, people, or if you fall, you're going to break a wrist, right? No good. So when you're in this posture, you want to make sure that your fingers are spread out like you got them. You want your hand to be slightly forward of your shoulder joint, because otherwise what happens then is you're almost in hyperextension of that wrist. Look at my hand. See how if I'm normal here, then I go forward. Yeah. That's a big reason also why women get pressure. They're not in the right place, right? Okay. So if you think about your low back, for example, your neck, for example, if we just do some simple movements, this is obviously it's a yoga type move, but we incorporate it a lot on the reformer to add strength training. But you just want to exhale, do kind of flexion of that cat-cow exercise. Now in this posture, Laura, nope, go back to where you just were, because that's a good point. Okay. Laura flexed the lumbar and the thoracic spine, but she didn't move her cervical spine, and that's going to pinch the neck. Yep. So think about the tailbone to the crown of the head. They have to work in unison, right? Yeah. Now go back to the flexion. But as you're here, really get a sense of opening the shoulder blades and taking deep breaths, trying to stretch out what feels tight across your back. When you go into extension here, this is extension, stay there. I want you to bend your elbows a little bit. Right now, try to retract or draw the shoulder blades down, bring the chin up a little more. So move past your comfort zone. Right? Because you're not going to make a lot of change if you keep doing what feels normal, right? All right. Do it again. Go into the gluteal muscles, draw the navel through, press the rib cage through. Yes, work into that end range and hold it for a couple breaths, right? And then go back through that spinal articulation. This feels really good. Right? Because you came out of your normal, what feels normal, right? I always say push past normal because you're not going to make a lot of change with that. Bend the elbows a little. Now I say push past normal, but don't push through pain, right? Like, this is challenging, this is burning is one thing, pain is a different thing, right? All right, so now let's do a little bit different movement, again, focused on that upper body. So this is a little more balance work, okay? If you take your left arm and just kind of reach it out in front of you with your palm down.
This to me. Okay, ready, yes.
Yes, this is one of Laura's favorite moves, okay. Now, the trick here is that I have to use the abdominals and the back extensors to stabilize so the body doesn't sort of rotate or tip sideways. Now take the opposite leg back. So again, this is kind of bird dog in yoga. Right hip down a little bit, but now I'm engaging not just my abdominals, but I'm really working on those back extensors, and there's a lot of hip work to find the balance, right? People tend to drop the body weight to one side. Again, back to how we incorporate, the Pilates concept here is that if someone's not correcting your form, you're just recreating bad habits. And when you get into the right form, you really change the whole thing, right? And the other side's always very different. So bring the hip down. Notice her leg's too high. Bring the hip down and bring your body weight to the left a little bit. There. And that'll activate that abdominal wall in a very different way if you focus on your form, okay? One of the other exercises I want to show, which I think everybody should do on a daily basis, I would probably, can we just use this pillow? Okay. So put it side, you go side lying, right? You'll be facing whichever direction you want. Okay. Yep. You're going to get into kind of that fetal position. I always tell people fetal position, but not like you're sleeping. This bottom shoulder should be stacked, not rolled forward like we would if we were sleeping. Okay, so your head would go on that pillow. Yep, and then we want to think about the tailbone being in line with the crown of the head. So for you right now, I need you to pull your whole head back, not by lifting your chin, but by pulling your head back. Correct. Then you're going to think about lifting the ribs away from the mat. So right now what I've done is I've created a nice active position of the spine versus relax it. You're kind of C-curved, right? So by lifting the ribs already, I'm activating the extensors, right? Yep. Reach this arm out in front of you. This is called spinal rotation. It's a very basic movement, but it's so, for every body part, it's a really good movement, right? You're gonna lift that top arm up towards the sky. Once it hits about shoulder height, you're gonna now start the rotation here at the rib cage. So the arm will just travel with you, right? You kind of lock it into that shoulder position. Don't let it drop. Okay. The rotation's in the rib cage, in the sternum chest, in the head. So now you're getting a nice deep middle of the body stretch. low back position. This is an excellent stretch if you have pain there, right?
Yeah.
Pressing the knees down for opposition. You're just going to bring that arm back up and go back to home base. And let's do it again. Reach it up and over. Isn't she pretty? Good. Rotate, draw the belly tight, press the top knee down. And so me personally, after my breast cancer experience, it was crucial that I was doing these open the chest type movements, keeping the chest wall from just getting all yuck from the scar tissue, and compression helped me so much then too, because I felt like I really needed protection to do movement so I didn't hurt myself right away. As I got stronger, I could kind of, okay, I don't need it as much, but like the bra is great because it kind of keeps me from going here. So we could go on for days with exercises, but
I'm going to be happy to do one more.
Yeah.
We do have a question
okay.
from everybody on social media. There's a lady who's 48 and she has lower back pain. So she wants to know, and we're just talking about a little bit the exercises, what products would work for you. We have so many on the Tommie Copper website. So first of all, our leggings are compression leggings, and they do have some
very high-waisted too.
High-waisted,
we love that. Okay.
which you like, right? And they give you support there in the lower back. The tank top that I'm wearing, I have wires and everything everywhere, but I'm going to try to show this to you. So the tank top that I'm wearing, sorry, as I turn myself to the camera, actually has lower back support there. Can you see it? You guys can see it. So it has lower back support right there. So it has lower back support there.
See the seams? Is that what you're showing?
Yeah.
The seams?
So that actually offers it. So we have that in both the tank top version. We have it in a short sleeve shirt version. We have it in this jacket that I'm wearing, and actually the jacket that you're wearing both have it too. So there's zip up tops. We have tops with the zippers. We have tops without the zippers that have it.
May I say they're super compressive. So for me, I had to go up a size because I felt like my normal size was pretty tight. I was like, well, this is really tight.
Yes.
So because I'm a little broader in the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, I went up in a size so that I would feel still compressed but comfortable.
And I would say that too. So if you want the maximum compression, you would order true to your size. If you are larger chested, especially for the ladies out there who are larger chested, you should definitely order up a size.
Like I'm wearing a large.
You're wearing a large.
Yes.
And I'm wearing a large, and which is interesting because I'm 6 feet tall.
Yep, and I'm only
tiny,
5'6".
And you're only 5'6".
I'm not tiny, but I am 5'6".
So, but yeah, so it has, it sort of depends. But yeah, so you know, and you kind of knew that going into it too, because when we were talking about size.
Yeah, because I'm familiar with compression stuff.
And you had said to me with your bra size was a different bra size, and so but yeah, so it's we do have online on the Tommie Copper website, there is a size chart for you to be able to figure that out too.
Well, and again, like there's purple socks, like it can be cute
really
and fashionable.
fun.
It doesn't have to be
well,
medical. That was a great way to describe it.
Beyond that too, there's other things in the Tommie Copper website that can help with the back, which we haven't even talked about necessarily yet, but we have better ice. So we have ice packs that are absolutely amazing. They do not get sticky. They don't get everything all wet. You throw them in the freezer and they're good to go for a long time. And they're just so pliable and they feel amazing. Not only on your back, we have back ones, and then we have a head one that's fantastic for headaches. It's like
it's funny looking, but it's
funny
cool.
looking, but it's great. If you put it on, if you have a little bit too much while, but too much fun, put that on the next morning and you can deal with the kids. It's okay.
Well, I have the sneaker inserts as well, which I've spent less money and gotten cheaper ones, which last me 2 weeks if I'm thinking about it because I'm on my feet so much. But for me personally, and I would think runners as well, like I still love my sneakers before they're worn out.
Yeah.
So that has allowed me to continue wearing my favorite sneakers for much longer because they still look good. I've just worn them through to the sole, right?
Well,
so that's huge.
So much of the body starts at the ground up, right? So this is Pro Foot by Tommie Copper, and these are amazing. They have 7 layers.
And they last forever.
They last so long. We have the arch support that's built in. We have 2 different versions. We have a plantar fasciitis version, and then we have the triad version that's fantastic for the knees and the back. So for you that was just asking about the back issues, the triad is probably going to be better for you. This is actually the plantar fasciitis version because you guys are hearing all about my problems right now. Because
You're a real human, Laura. You're a real human. Okay.
Oh yes. So
feet are something big that we talk about in Pilates as well, because like we're saying, like if you have a back issue, that's not going to stay in your back, right? If, for example, I hurt my left ankle when I was much younger, and as a result of that, over the course of time, the way I stand, this knee is a little, like I said, I heard it when I was, it's like, it's not coincidental that the chains kind of have different reactions to things. And the number one thing I found about the foot support, not just that I could continue wearing my favorite sneakers, was it changed how I was standing when I'm standing all day at work. Most people, if you're standing a long time, you tend to stand on your toes. It's a natural reaction to hold your body weight up. That was forcing me to bring my body weight into my heels, which is something that we talk about a lot in Pilates. With squats, for example. Yep. So many people do squats wrong, hurt their knees, hurt their hips. It's like where you distribute your weight on your foot is crucial.
Well, and you're supposed to distribute more of it in your heel. And I always thought that I was leaning forward. I knew I was leaning forward, but I thought I was to avoid the plantar fasciitis.
It probably was.
And it probably was, right? Yeah. But then once I got the proper inserts, I started noticing I started feeling more comfortable putting more pressure and more weight at my
helps
body
to strengthen your
back.
glutes when you stand on your heels as well, which is huge. So it's all connected and related,
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And and then I always talk about how like it starts at the ground up, right? If your ground is kind of wonky, it's like the foundation of a home. If it's not set properly, then everything else starts to just unravel.
Well, and believe it or not, that's genuinely a challenging concept for people to wrap their mind around. You know, I can't tell you how many times I have a conversation with a client where, well, this hurts, and I'm trying to explain to them that it's all connected, it's a system, and it's like they sort of stick to, no, this is where the injury is, and I'm like, I hear you, but everything has to be compensatory after that, and maybe it took 5 years for now this to hurt, but it's not a coincidence, you know, and it's all connected. And like you're saying, if right away you're already standing on those feet in a bad way, I talk a lot about alignment with feet because most people, especially men, tend to stand with their feet turned out. The entire chain of the leg and the hip is now different than it should be naturally.
Well, you guys do a lot of us too with the bar where we grip our toes
yes.
on the bar for
foot health is key.
Yep. We do a lot of
ankles.
Ankles.
Ankles. Everybody hates that too. Everybody hates it.
The ankle exercises we do a lot of. And then you just triggered something else in my mind that I wanted to think about because it was something that what was it you were just saying? And it made me think about our red light therapy. And so we have, which we haven't even talked about yet, but we have this whole red light therapy session, which by the way, also fantastic for back pain.
I've done that before on my breast cancer stuff.
You have? And what did you think of it?
I mean, it took me a few times of doing it to feel, I think number one that I liked, which made me go back for more because you don't really feel much right away, was that it was relaxing and it felt warm and why wouldn't this be good for me kind of thing. And, you know, it's hard to say, like I said before, you need to do a lot of different modalities. But I do understand the thought process and the theory of red light. And I think it's absolutely, why not, right? Yeah. I think that the more you do for overall health and wellness, that's not bad for you.
Well, and I love now that we're able to bring that technology into an at-home version.
Absolutely.
Too, which is really cool. So we actually have like a red light, it's infrared, by the way. And so it goes down deep into, we have a knee one, we have a back one, we have a shoulder one. There's quite a few different. We actually even have one for the hands and wrists now. You were talking about
a lot of women, yes, the wrists and the hands.
Makes such a big difference to be able to have
I mean, even things like this. I can't tell you how many of my lady clients, the cartilage in your hands and this part of your hand actually wears away as you get older.
Oh, great.
And so things like, it's not even so much just their wrist of having them do this, it's that it hurts their literal hands. So we have to work with what we're given as the Lord gives it to us. Yes. And it changes all the time. And with every decade is a new season. And whatever tools we can incorporate, I think, to feel good and do because, you know, stuff gets harder as we get older. Let's not lie. So.
Are there certain tools that you've noticed that help more?
I mean, I don't know about kind of like what I was saying. I don't know if it's one specific thing. I really just think that number one thing I say to people, like we're talking about the red light therapy, try everything. Yeah. If you have the capacity, the ability, and it's there for you, try it. If you don't like it, fine. But you might love it. You know, I did a lot of red light sauna stuff for a little while, not just because it made me feel good healing-wise, but it made me feel good, period. Yeah. And I think just try different modalities, and when you find things you love, in the beginning, just like any habit, you kind of have to make yourself do them for a little while till it becomes a habit. Yeah. But don't get hung up on just one thing and get frustrated if that one thing is not working. Do your research, look up why red light therapy, why chiropractic, why find people you trust and love to do these modalities with. if you're seeing genuine progress, you know it's working. If you're not, maybe find another person
It's
to
so
do
true.
these things,
Yeah.
right?
And coming up eventually in the show, we are going to have somebody who's a specialist in red light therapy.
Fantastic.
Also, so we can really dig deep into that and how it helps and benefits. And it's kind of like you said, you don't feel it on the very first session.
Mm-mm.
It does take commitment to be able to use
It's
it
therapy.
over and over. It's a therapy.
No therapy
And-
takes one session. Okay?
Well, I was telling my mom, because my mom has a lot of back problems, and I had sent her one of our products that I can't talk about just yet, but it's coming up, and I cannot wait until we launch it. And she put it on once, and she goes, after wearing it for an hour, she goes, I don't think I feel anything. And I went, well, Mom, you've only had it on for an hour.
Well, and I'm not going to
It
lie, the
says-
older generation is a
they're a
little
little
harder to
tougher.
open their
Yeah,
mind to this
they
kind of
are.
stuff. Yeah.
And so I said, it says the first time you wear it, you need to wear it for 2 hours. And she goes, okay, I'll keep it on. And then she called me, she goes, I feel better.
Like very reluctantly
I went,
telling you.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear that you feel better. And she goes, I think I'm going to keep it. I went, I'm glad you're going to keep it. And then you take turns and you use it. And I said, and don't skip a day, like use it again, because if one thing makes you feel 10% better, and then doing the proper exercise makes you feel 10% better, and then wearing the back support, we also have back support braces, by the way, online. We have our TENS units that are amazing.
TENS units is a great tool as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They're a great tool. One of the things that's what triggered, I forgot to mention earlier, but all of that, you add all of this up and you get 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, all of a sudden you're feeling 80% better. Would you take feeling 80% better over feeling terrible?
I would take 10%
I would
some
take 10%,
days.
exactly. Right?
I think it's a
And
puzzle.
so,
I say that a lot. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle, and when you figure one thing out, great, move on to the next section of the puzzle because you're not done with the puzzle. Okay?
And that's what's great about the TENS is it can go anywhere. What triggered me saying that is that I have a lot of a knee injury from that car accident. It was my back and my knee. My knee hit the car really badly, and I feel the pain here. But when I put the TENS unit on, I put it on down here, and I put it on up here. I also put it on here, but I move it around because I know that it's
Nerve
all the
pathways,
nerve patterns that are
100%.
connecting it that are going to help relieve the entire thing. So, and that's what you were saying, is that different movements and different positions and exercises help release different tensions.
Well, and it's very important to respect the fact that people, when you have an injury, are going to be afraid of muscle contraction right in the beginning. Things that might literally mentally or physically trigger, like your back, for example. You said you kind of stayed away from stuff because anything back there freaks you out. You have to respect that about people, right?
Yeah.
And you have to, that's why I said find practices and things that you can gently ease into these things, but also that you trust that it's the right thing for you, and but you do have to a little bit trust, like, okay, I know I don't love this because it scares me a little, but maybe I need to do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the number one thing, right? Don't get too hung up on, because pain is pain. It's your body's way. Someone said this to me a long time ago. Pain is your body's way of telling you something's wrong. Think of it as your friend, not your enemy, right? And that if you can learn to harness it, like you're saying, 10% this help, 10% like, take what you can get and roll with that and work with it, because it ain't getting any easier.
It's
okay?
not. It's not getting easier. And I don't know about you, but I mean, I have an amazing doctor. I love my doctor, but I don't like to see him very frequently.
Exactly.
And I also am not somebody who loves ingesting things. I would rather find other way. I would rather change my diet. I would rather do the proper exercises. I would rather do all of that than be taking more and more medications. And not that there's not a place for medications.
Absolutely.
There 1,000% is. But it's just,
That's not my first
it's
go-to
not my
either.
first choice if I have the option in order to do
And
that.
I think that'll
So
take
that's-
time for people to change that mindset as well, right?
Yeah.
I think we're coming into a really cool time of people are trusting and learning, and there's so many more practitioners now that are teaching us that, like, we don't have to go right to medicine. We can try these funky new things and see what works, and they actually do.
Yeah,
So,
and I love too that it is, we're getting more awareness out there. I think social media is a big part of that. It starts to, it's easier to share information these days, and it's easier to get proper information, especially when you find something and then you research it. But definitely get proper information out there, because that's important. Well, Chris, if there is one thing that you would say you would recommend to somebody just to make their life a little better on a daily basis, what would you say it is?
I think I've said it a couple times today, just really have grace with yourself and trust the process. I think you said that in the beginning, but get a process, right? I know a lot of people in my life throughout the years have been, oh, you don't understand, it hurts, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You can. Don't just give to the pain. Don't give up on it if you don't want to. there are so many options and modalities like we're talking about. I mean, look, we're wearing like cute compressive gear. Like you said, like 10 years ago, it was like, oh, I have to wear this dumb brace, right? Now it's like, oh, kind of cool. Different forms of exercise. There's so many these days, right? Find what you love and keep it going. And like I said, today's hard, tomorrow's not. That's okay. Take every day, have a little grace with yourself. If you're not in the mood for it today, don't do it, but do it tomorrow, right?
And start small. I mean, I think
100%.
you have to start small. Like, you're not going to jump into
And safe.
And safe.
Safe.
Yes.
Right? Please,
Safe.
as we get older, man, we got to be safe.
And one thing I'm noticing, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're going to a really amazing like Pilates Powerhouse and Rehab Center where they're really focused on proper posture, or you're going to the YMCA. When you get there, talk to your instructor and tell them what your injuries are, because if they know that and they know to keep a little extra eye on you, and they'll help give you different exercises or movements to prevent further injury or try to even help recover those. And of course, we're here at Tommie Copper. If you have any questions, please reach out to us online. If you're, if you have a knee injury, or you have something that's uncomfortable in your lower back, or you have a headache, reach out to us. We would love to help you find the right.
If you're in
products
St.
to
Pete,
help
you can
feel
call me
better.
too. I'll help you.
Exactly. And you'll see me in class.
Would I be able to
So-
somewhere put in the plug for my virtual classes if
Absolutely,
people want to join
yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll send that in later through a
You can
message or
just tell
something.
us what it is right now if you want.
Well, it's as simple as you would email krs1229@yahoo.com and just let me know that you're interested in my Zoom classes. They are Wednesdays and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. I would send you a Zoom link and you are all set. Payment is super simple. We can talk about that later if you send me an email, and we'll get the process started for you. They're about 35-minute classes, nothing crazy. Again, some days we stretch, we strengthen, some days we hit it hard. You never know what you're going to get till you get there. So,
Chris, you've been a joy.
thank
I
you. This has
appreciate
been
it.
really
It was
fun.
really
It was really
I
fun.
loved it. Thank you. I'm Laura Baker, everybody, and this is Living Well with Tommie Copper. We are so glad that you joined us today, and we will see you.
Look at that when I shake my arm. Look. Look what happens.
That happens to me.
I know. This is what happens. Yes, that was fun. That was so fun.